Hi, I'm Neil Sackmary.
Hi, I'm State Trooper Sean Hagstrom with the Nevada State Police Highway Patrol Division, PEIO. Please stay tuned for the next episode of Trooper Talk.
And together, we can make a difference. Here we are live at the 360 Vegas studios with this edition of Trooper Talk. You might know the two gentlemen on the end, but the gentleman in the middle, we would like you to introduce yourself and then tell us when I said, hi, how are you? When I walked in this morning, you said, we met before, so tell us who you are and tell us when we met.
My name's Tim Waller. I'm a sergeant for the Laughlin District for Nevada State Police Highway Patrol Division. And we did meet before at my promotion ceremony back in December of last year.
So Johnny and I love to come to the promotion ceremonies. You know, one of the most wonderful things about the promotion ceremonies is when the major gets up there and the captain gets up there and everybody starts talking, and then they give the promotion ceremony, and then they give the flowers to the spouse or the partner, and they say, listen, I just want to tell you, we appreciate you very much. This is not going to be easy, because at 3 o'clock in the morning, somebody's going to be called out. You're going to have to deal with certain things that you didn't deal with before. It's going to be more stressful. So, talk to us about the last 6 months.
Nothing's really changed in that term. I've been down in Laughlin, which is a rural area, and one of the big differences is we do get called out. And so, I know that it's tough on family when you get a call middle of the night and you got to wake up and go. They don't really know what it is. I have limited information. I'm like, I got this going on. I got to go. And of course, they're very worried, when you go tearing out of the house to go to something. So it's easy to become kind of complacent in the respect that, that's your job. You do it every day, and you don't really, I don't think much about what's going on in my wife's head when I got to go out the door. So it's really neat when you go through something like a ceremony where command staff recognizes your family for what they deal with. It's easy for me to forget about it sometimes, but you have those moments of clarity where you think like, man, she must really, mentally that is hard on your family. I don't currently have any kids in the house, so it's just the wife, but it's hard on them too, for sure.
I mean, you leave your house, you flip on your lights, and you're gone.
Yeah, that's pretty much how it works, because in a rural area you got a long ways to go. There's not a lot of resources out there, so fire or medical is always going to be notified first before we do, but oftentimes we get there first. So a lot of times you're going to be the first one on scene, and depending on the type of the call it is and the information that you have, there's a lot to do just to get out of the house. Getting dressed, you're half asleep, trying to get your computer up, trying to get more information. And you're always formulating a plan in your head based on the information you have before you even arrive. So you're busy in your head for sure.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
You know what I'm saying?
And that's one of the reasons, Neil, that I wanted.
You didn't introduce yourself.
Oh, I'm sorry. Hey, I'm
Yeah,
Sean
that was the
Hagstrom.
next
Just
thing
ready to
that I
jump
was
into
going
it.
to get. Jump into
let's
it.
just
Go
go.
on, tell me.
Sorry about that.
Right,
Hey,
tell us
I'm-
who you are at least.
Yeah, I'm Sean Hagstrom, State Trooper, and I'm with Public Affairs, the Public Information Officer. And I wanted to add on, this is one of the reasons that we really wanted to get Sergeant Waller on here is to speak a little bit about what rural troopers go through. And we haven't had a rural trooper or sergeant out here to really talk about it. I mean, we did have, Prim District, but that's really close to town and everything. But in the true rurals, I can say, because I worked 13 years in a rural area where you're getting called at 2 or 3 in the morning, and people don't understand, you don't have the backup. As being a rural trooper, you may have backup, but it might be 45 minutes away or an hour. You're handling everything. And like he said, you might be the first on scene. If CPR has to be done or medical attention, you're doing it before medical gets there. There's a lot of times you want to pray that medical's there before you, you know what I mean? So they can really start these services because they're professionals at it. Not saying that we aren't, and we're always doing our best to do that, but it gets pretty tough on the families too once in a while because you do get those call outs. It's not all the time. A lot of districts, they'll arrange which troopers during that week will probably take call outs. I don't know what this Sarge has or whatever, but yeah, those are the things that you have to deal with being a trooper. You handle everything. You know, you don't have backup like in Vegas where within 5 minutes or 15 minutes,
yeah,
you got another guy helping you and he's taking photos and Another guy's doing measurements or whatever. You got it, or they're talking and getting interviews done at the scene. You're doing it all as a rural trooper, and that's one of the fascinating things. These troopers may have 200-300 mile areas to cover, and people don't realize how much they have to do and what they do to cover that. So,
And let's talk about the fact very quickly. We appreciate you being here this morning. He didn't even have a chance to talk to anybody this morning, right?
Correct,
Yeah.
yeah.
Maybe you can or can't talk specifically, but this morning you were here, and what were you doing?
well, I could talk a little bit about it. It's we had a fatal crash that's currently our troopers are working on right now. It's at the 215 in North Pecos, and it's involving 2 vehicles, and one ended up being a rollover, and unfortunately we have one person that's deceased on scene right now. So I had to really get that information out to the press, as many
Right.
press that I could contact before the show and get this going. But it just shows you that we're always active and something's always going on. So you got to be on your toes, even though you just got up and you're thinking about doing a show. This is how fast things can change. You know what I mean? So I'm glad that I made it here with
Yeah.
you, but I was still able to take care of a lot of business and send it out before we could get on the show.
And then you're like, I got to talk to you, and I got to talk to you, and I got to do this.
I didn't have a chance to talk to him.
You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
yeah, absolutely.
Luckily, he drives a fast Mustang. You know what I'm
That's
saying?
right.
He does.
And the other gentleman that drives the Mustang. Now, how many people have Mustangs for the Nevada State Police?
Currently down here is just myself and Trooper Hackstrom. There will be another troop that does get it.
Yes.
We do have an extra Mustang waiting here.
We do,
for some-
yeah. And then up north, we have another 6 Mustangs that are kind of just dispersed to different troops and positions as well.
So please introduce yourself and tell us why you always have a big smile every time you come here.
So I'm Trooper Villanueva, Nevada State Police. I'm the sworn recruiter for Southern Command or Region 1. So I handle all of the recruiting for our sworn positions and non-sworn positions as well. But my primary function or goal is to hire as many troopers or officers for our academies. We actually do have another recruiter up north who handles all of the northern recruiting, and he drives a Mach-E Mustang. So the electric one, not as cool as mine, I'll say, but he enjoys it just as much. But yeah, we're looking for people to that want to come and make a difference in the public and within themselves to better their lives just a little bit better. We're looking for Nevada's finest to come and join us and work with us on a daily basis.
And I don't know if you know, but his wife and his mom, they both work for Nevada State Police.
I actually just learned that in the last couple of weeks. I
Yeah,
did
it's
not know that.
fantastic.
Well, I met his wife
Yeah,
at
tell me.
a training that we had for some online programming stuff that we had to do, and
Okay.
I had never even met her before, and
Uh-huh.
apparently, I guess she was a dispatcher at one point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
so
right.
I've watched a couple episodes of this, and like Sean has said before, there's a lot of movement because people can go into different sections of the agency. So, but yeah, I mean, I've been in Laughlin for over 7 years now, so
Yeah.
I'm a little bit removed from what goes on out here. Which was my goal when I transferred
Right,
down
of
there.
course.
So.
He's got to worry about his district, make
No,
sure
no,
everything
that's-
runs
yeah,
right.
that's
That's
it.
right.
We like to embarrass him every time, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? But we want people to know that, if they want to work for Nevada State Police, that, like, there's family, and as an extended part of that family is to have your own family work there is just like, this is such a great place to work. You know what I mean? That, like, my extended family, wants to be here and they want to do great things. And when she was on here the last, on the 200th episode, it was amazing because she was in the dispatch, and she has elevated her position to not only do the dispatching, but she does so many other things as a non-sworn officer. And so that's one of the things that we always talk about the recruiting, is the fact of that non-sworn officers. All right, so I got some things for you. Ready? All right.
Here we
I
go.
always like to throw a little curveball at things.
Here we go.
All right, so just so you know, nothing is scripted. I think about things in my own head, and then this is what I want to talk about. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
All right, so you ready?
I am.
So according to the Nevada DPS codes, what is 1021?
Phone call
Hold call.
Okay, very good. 1023.
arrived.
Right.
All right, okay. 1033.
It's emergency.
Yeah, emergency officer needs help.
We don't use that one very
yeah.
often.
Yeah.
Right.
'Cause you just-
Okay.
So you're throwing some curveballs.
But I got it.
Yeah.
Right?
Here
No,
we
no,
go.
no,
Yeah,
no.
let's
Listen,
go.
listen. I
Keep
want
'em
people to
coming
know.
for
You
you.
know
Let's
what I'm
go.
saying?
Yeah,
This
keep
is
'em
what, you know what I mean? All right. So 1050.
It was a crash.
They have F and then they have H.
Right.
So the H is a hit and run,
Right.
and F is a fatal, that, like
Fatal
they're working
crash,
right now.
yeah.
So if they call out a 1050 Frank, that means they're working a fatal crash.
10. Okay. Oh, because they don't say F because so okay. So
Right.
they,
Yeah, and
Right.
then we to extend that because the H is for hit and run. It's a property damage, but if it's just property damage, only 2 cars, nobody's hurt, it'll be a 1050 Paul.
1050
LVP.
Paul.
Yep.
How about this one for you? You ready?
Yeah.
Here we go.
1054.
1054. That's going to be an animal on the roadway.
Yeah.
There you go.
There you go.
Okay.
And he might deal with that once in a while.
Yeah.
No, this is what I'm saying.
usually
How about
wild.
1076?
En route.
Okay, so here's one. So 11-10F, 11-10M.
Those are warrants.
Yeah.
One's going to be
Felony
felony,
warrant.
Felony
misdemeanor.
and a misdemeanor. Yep.
Okay. How about code 3?
That's when you're using all your lights and sirens. It's code 3.
Okay.
Yep.
So
Go 3 high.
Yeah, and a lot of and people. I just want the public to know this
Yeah.
too. When you see a cruiser that's speeding past you, they don't have lights and all that. There's a reason for it, and let me tell you, even working on the sheriff's office, same way. Let's say the houses, most houses get burglarized during the daytime. And you know why, Neil?
most people are not there.
Correct. They're at work, so people don't understand. They think all burglaries happen on the weekend or,
At night.
you know, at night or if all right. So if you see a police car, you know, hightailing it out there, they're not going to put their lights and sirens unless they have to break an intersection to get there, you know, ahead of time. But they're going to try blocks away not to let people know that they're coming so they can actually catch the bad guys in the act. Because once they hear that sirens and everything else, that just magnifies them getting what they need and to get the heck out before they can even arrive.
Yeah.
Same goes with us. Most of our calls, when we run the calls, we're not going lights and sirens to every call. We the only time that you see us doing lights and sirens is when we have an injury crash that we're going to, where we need to get there in time, or if it's something major that, hey, we got a mattress in the roadway and we're gonna have a major crash.
Yeah.
We got to get there right away. So there's all different reasons that we run. Code 1 is going to a call without any lights or sirens, and code 2 you can use lights. You know, you'll be braking intersection, all this, and then code 3 is full lights and sirens. So people just need to realize that, hey, sometimes we don't want to go above the speed limit. You know, we're allowed to by law, you know, to do our job. But people need to realize that we're not just in our cars speeding around or doing this, that.
Yeah.
Usually there's a call or somewhere we have to go. We're not going to let people know why we're going to that call. You know what I mean? And until we get there, I mean, it's public information, you know, later. But we want to make sure that we're able to get there safely. And most of the time, a lot of these calls are required with lights and sirens because just what we're dealing with in the valley. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, especially even with a mattress. You know what I mean? We got to get there because you could have a 10-car pileup.
Yeah.
And somebody getting hurt. So there's not a lot of urgency for us to get to certain areas that most of the time we'll be using lights and sirens.
I
for
saw a
us.
chair in the road the other day when I took my drive on Sunday.
Correct. And also since you brought that up
Yes,
with the
sir.
chair, for the public, do you swerve at the chair? No. If there's cars by you or anything, just take the chair in that lane. You know,
It's
try
your fault. No, not you.
Yeah.
I'm saying, right?
Yeah.
If you're there and you swerve
leave
and
your
hit
lane.
someone,
Yep.
right? It's your fault because you should have taken the chair head on.
Yep. And that's what you got
Unfortunately.
insurance for and body shop. I mean, unfortunately, we never want to do that, especially with your
Yeah,
car or our
right.
car.
Of course.
But you got to look at the implications that could happen if you do swerve and you don't pay attention. You could strike a car. That car could go off and strike more cars.
Yeah.
I mean, it could be a disaster. So if you have something in the roadway, unfortunately, if it's an animal or some kind of object or anything, you, most likely if you're in heavy traffic, you're going to have to take that item. And I hate to say that, but for the best part for yourself and everybody around you, that's what you need to do.
And that's
every
why you
time.
shouldn't be going 130.
Correct.
Correct.
That's correct.
Let me ask you a question. Do you have a station down in Laughlin?
We have a substation that's down
Substation.
there. Yeah.
So you leave your house in your vehicle that you get to take home.
Yep. Absolutely. Yeah.
And then do you go to the substation a lot?
It sometimes it really depends. I find myself kind of splitting my time between the office and the road. Being a rural sergeant, I don't always need to be at the office. So I like to be out on the road. I like to be visible. A lot of times I can do work from my car. It is an office, so I have a computer, I have a phone. I'll find myself out on the road. Sometimes I'll sit on the side, be doing some business, and once I'm done, I can go make a traffic stop. So I like to be actively involved and working with my guys.
And then, without getting into specifics, how far is your house from generally where you're sort of? I mean, I know you patrol the whole area, but like, you know, like how far is your house from like the freeway and like the, you know what I mean? Like, do you live sort of like close by? Like, how is it? What is it like in Laughlin? Because a lot of people don't know, they've never been there.
Yeah. So US 95 from Boulder City is where our beat starts for the Laughlin district, and that is about 55 miles. And so when you make it all the way down almost to the California state line, this is the very tip of Nevada, you would go east on State Route 163 towards the Colorado River. Once you go down into there, that is our jurisdictional area, like 163, 95. You actually have to leave the beat, our area of responsibility, to get down to the town of Laughlin. It's about 4.5 miles to my house and about 6 miles to the Laughlin substation.
And it's a 2-lane road on each side, or one lane on each.
It's all of our roads, at least 95 and 163 are 2 lanes in each direction separated.
Separated, so
yeah.
that someone could. Okay.
Yeah.
I find it very scary to drive on those roads sometimes, where you're like, you know, you're driving like this, because all that person needs to do is just, you know. And
So here's what's beautiful about it is after 9/11, they closed all the heavy trucks, the semis, commercial vehicles from the Hoover Dam, and the federal government came in and actually widened all of that out in there, and that needed to happen until they got the new bridge built out by the Hoover Dam. So once all the traffic got diverted back up to the new bridge on I-11, we got left with these beautiful roads. So a lot of the speed limits out there are 75 because there's a 100-foot median out there on the 95. So they're great roads, really nice.
So at 75, obviously, you know, you catch people at 130. I can only imagine, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And so, what do they think? It's like the Indianapolis Speedway.
Well, you know, I'll be honest. When I worked up here in Vegas, I seen.
They're both laughing because they know it's the truth.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Truthfully,
And one more thing, real quick. I just your car. I noticed you drive the SUV.
yes.
Yeah, go on.
Yeah, great car, by the way. I mean, it's they got a lot of power. They handle really well. You know, even in we have some curvy parts of our roads and stuff, and so it's a good car. When I worked up here in Vegas, I was actually on the motor squad before I left and transferred down, and I feel like really the speeds were higher and much more dangerous in terms of how much traffic there was. You know, there'd be 4 lanes, and it was nothing to get 105 plus on a regular basis. We get that down there too, but it doesn't seem to be quite as often. So it's still dangerous because at those speeds, a lot of times what we see is distracted driving, and people start to drift off the road, and then what they do is they overreact. They put too much input into the steering wheel, and that causes the vehicle to lose control. So those are a lot of the crashes that we see down there, and speed's a huge factor.
Because you're doing 80, 90 miles an hour, and you just turn that wheel a little bit.
Yeah, the faster you're going, the more steering input you put into that vehicle, the more likely it's going to get out of control. So it's, but they're great roads, and I feel like, considering, I feel like the crashes are fairly minimal, but then again, our enforcement's pretty good too. So.
Yeah, and once you get off those roads, it doesn't matter if you're up north, Mesquite area where I work, or down there. Always let your car drive in. Don't switch if you go off the road. Try to jerk the wheel, because once you jerk those wheels, you got a 5,000-pound vehicle with those wheels going sideways into the soft sand, and once that hits, it's a rollover every time. You know what I mean? So. Because you got that momentum of the vehicle going. You're not going to pull your vehicle and get right back on the road. If you do, it's by luck. I mean, total luck. but the majority, if you go off the road and if you just lightly tap your brakes, don't overdo your brakes and just let it go in there. It's better to get a tow truck than to have you lose control and lose that vehicle. And we always tell people, buckle up. He can tell you every time,
Buckle up.
you know, not wearing your seatbelt, getting ejected or whatever. We had one this morning, you know what I mean? You got to wear that seatbelt. So.
He lives where he lives, right? I didn't ask about your house and all that type of stuff, but I'm very curious.
Sure.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Did you know Sergeant Clifton lives in a ranch and has horses? Johnny went on his tractor. We can't get a picture of it because Johnny edits himself out.
Yeah.
But
Right.
but the thing is, we can talk about it. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely, yeah.
But the thing is that you know, one of the things with the Nevada State Police that's really fantastic is the fact of that you can sort of live where you want to live. You can live how you want to live. And, you know, if you don't want to be in the city and you want to live, you know what I mean? Like, you can do that.
Yeah.
NevadaStatePolice.com, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And we have troopers, we have officers with parole and probation who don't want to live in the city. They have ranches like Sergeant Clifton does, who want to live in the rurals, and we will absolutely accommodate that as long as we have a position available. If you want to live in Battle Mountain, Nevada, or Winnemucca up north, we'll send you up north. If you do 10 years of your career in Las Vegas and you get kind of tired of the heat and want to go up to Reno, we will send you up north to go work in Reno. So it's a really cool benefit that I think the state has to offer, is that if no matter where it is that you want to work or what it is that you want to do, we will help you get to that position and we'll help you do whatever we need to get you there.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
All right, so you ready for the next part? Now I quizzed you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You guys sort of passed that. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, I just want to tell everybody we had this nice gentleman on last week, and he signed the book for me, and he gave me his coin. And so, you know, this is Trooper Hagstrom's childhood friend who wrote a book.
Oh.
And they call him Ram 1 because he was the SWAT guy that used to ram. Very big muscles, you know what I mean? And so, like, you can only imagine, like, when he was young, like, he looked like Trooper Hagstrom, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, he would just knock
I don't
over
know
the
about
house,
that,
you
but
know what I'm saying?
A lot bigger.
And so, but anyway, so now we used to just talk, which is fantastic, because the basis of the Trooper Talk is to go inside the life of the Nevada State Police from a recruiting standpoint, and then, you know, people want to emulate you. You know, they want to be you, and so we want to show them what it's like to be you. But now we do pictures. And so I don't look at the pictures. Johnny and Trooper Hagstrom do them, and then we'll see what we have, okay?
All right.
So I was on the phone with Trooper Hagstrom yesterday, and he says at the old Highway Patrol building, you know, it was really cool when you walked in and all that type of stuff. And he says, Sergeant Witchmarsh is over there. They're redoing this whole area. You know, the Nevada State Police, the Highway Patrol, from its inception, is one of the most wonderful agencies that the state has. And when it comes to the troopers and the parole and probation and everybody that works for them that's non-sworn, you know, I mean, this is history. And this is something that when you put on your uniform, you feel pride because you know that someone wore this uniform. So tell us what we have here.
Yeah, this is at the back entrance when you come through our new office, Neil. And so this is part of bringing back pride with the Highway Patrol. We have all this memorabilia from history, as we were talking about. And we're also going to do the front office, but this is when you first come through the back doors. And we're going to bring you and Johnny in to kind of see it and video it and all this. It's not completed all the way right now. Captain Carrero, you met her. She came on with me, and she's designed a couple walls. We have a memorial wall that we're going to have, and it's going to have all the officers that were killed in the line of duty with 8x10s, and they're going to have like gold name plaques on it, and there's a memory wall. And then we got another wall for like our troopers of the year and all the people that do fantastic stuff for the Highway Patrol.
Yes.
So it's getting to be exciting because now they're starting to put all this stuff into the building now. And now the front entrance, they're working on that now. Now we have our Nevada Highway Patrol stars on the doors, and They're going to start adding the pictures of the old cruisers, you know, from back in the 30s all the way to current. People need to realize that we've been an agency since 1908. Nevada State Police first formed, and that was dealing with labor unions that were getting out of control with mining and everything. So they had to say, hey, we need a state police force here in the state of Nevada. So it started in 1908 when we started out as Nevada State Police. It wasn't until like 1949 where the legislature changed Nevada State Police into Nevada Highway Patrol, and they put us with DMV. We're like a mirrored agency. And ever since then, we've been Nevada Highway Patrol. And then in 2005, we became a Department of Public Safety. You know that, and what the Department of Public Safety is, we took our single entity of being Nevada Highway Patrol, and we merged in with all these other agencies: Parole and Probation, Capitol Police, Division of Investigation, State Fire Marshal, everybody. So now we're a big group and under Department of Public Safety. So. Just a couple of years ago, now we've changed our names to Nevada State Police. We went back, we made like a full circle.
Yeah.
And now Nevada Highway Patrol is just a division of the Nevada State Police. We're still Nevada Highway Patrol. We haven't changed anything. It's just by name only. We're just falling under this big division. So I know people kind of got confused at first. They're like, Nevada State Police, Nevada Highway Patrol. Do they know who they are? Department of Public Safety? You know what I mean?
Right.
So, but we are under Department of Public Safety as Nevada State Police for all divisions, and then we have individual divisions, which Nevada Highway Patrol falls under. So, yeah, I wanted to put this up to kind of show you how it's coming along. I mean, it might change a little bit more.
No, that's fantastic.
It shows the different uniforms and everything. Even our dispatchers, you can see this female mannequin. Dispatchers used to wear the Nevada Highway Patrol patch back then. I think this is probably 60s maybe. And they used to have to wear like a uniform being dispatchers. So there's all different types of history. Some of the blue ones, some were, well, I should say the brown ones were commercial guys that did the trucks. So they had a little bit of different uniform than the blues. And then this is like my uniform. We used to call it the French Blues when I first got in. We had the Battleborn patch, which was our Nevada flag. You know, it said Battleborn. And we've made a lot of different changes throughout the year. That was Nevada Highway Patrol when I was on. That was our symbol, Nevada Highway Patrol. And then you see on the bottom on the far right, that was the patch that I wore. And the last badge from 1980 to present, it says, that was the badge, and it used to say Nevada Highway Patrol with the rocker saying Trooper on it. So, but a lot of history, like you said, and we want to memorialize this history because, you know, we want to make it better for the next guys coming along, and have a legacy for the guys that made it all the way through and retired. This is something they can come back and say, hey, I was a part of, and it's kind of exciting to see how it's going. Absolutely.
You know, the thing is that this is the type of stuff that when you work for an agency, you know, that's why you work for an agency for so long. You know, you being where you are, where you don't get to see all these guys as much as they get to see each other because you're down where you are.
Yeah.
You know, one of the things that's very, very special is the fact of where it is that you are, what it is that you've done in your career, and where you sit today. So what I'd sort of like to talk about is the fact of you know, where you started in your career and why it is that you sort of, not to say ended in Laughlin, but why it is that you wanted to be there.
Well, being there was mostly personal reasons. I'm kind of an outdoor person, so I got the lake, the river, a lot of trails. I do a lot of outdoor activities. So I really got to a point in my life where I'd lived in the city my whole life. I knew people down there. So it just kind of made sense. There was an opening at the time. I say that now, which is funny because now we're short people, but as soon as the guy left, I put in for the spot and got the spot. I really liked being on the motor squad up here. That was probably one of the best experiences of my career. So I had to leave that behind because we don't have that down there, but I just love living in a rural area down there, you know, again, with all the recreational stuff. And it's been actually really great working down there. It was quite an adjustment when I went down there. Mm-hmm. When you work up here and something goes down, you got help. So you have to kind of adjust to a rural area. It took a little time to do that, but I absolutely love the working relationship our agency has with Las Vegas Metro. They are the police down there as well. It's still Clark County. And so it's a whole different dynamic doing this job in a place like that. But overall, I'm very lucky to be there. And then having the opportunity to actually promote and stay where I want to be is, I'm just super lucky to have that happen. So this career has been amazing. Sometimes you have to stop and kind of reflect a little bit and realize what you've been through and where you're at now, and just kind of the different phases that your career goes through. And so I'm pretty happy to be where I'm at. I'll stay there till I retire, that's for sure.
So we had Trooper Thayer on, and you know he loves the same car as you do, the SUV. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Because he says that in your area that it's like you want to have all the stuff. So generally, do you have extra stuff in there that you wouldn't normally have, like that you put in there personally?
Some guys do. For the most part, I think we all kind of carry the same stuff. Some guys will carry some extra things, like we'll carry
But what
extra.
do you?
Do I? I probably do. I've got some stuff that I've collected when it comes to like breacher bars and different things. We find ourselves helping Metro out a lot. So when I started this job and something went down, it's like Metro would show up, and then even those guys would put the yellow tape up and wait for the special unit to come in and handle it. Down there, they have a shooting, you get put to work. They don't have SWAT team down there. They don't have dogs down there. They don't have fatal team down there. So they don't have resources. So if anything goes on, it's all hands on deck. And that includes agencies from across the state line on the other side of the river. We've had some big brawls at the casinos down there during the summer. You get large groups of people, and we had even some of our agencies like Fish and Game. Anybody and everybody who's a sworn officer shows up to help out. So even with the schools down there, we have one school officer down there. So if there's a call there, we'll go assist. Metro's there, and just any agency. So we work very closely with a lot of different agencies down in there, and so it's just a different experience being in law enforcement down there. You get to do a lot of different things that we don't normally do, and that's probably true for most of our troops in rural areas. They find themselves dealing with different types of calls than they normally would. So and I enjoy that too.
Yeah, and it's cool because not everyone wants to live on a lake, or not everyone wants to go outside and see deers running around in the backyard, or horses, or what I mean, whatever. You have horses in the backyard?
No, it's not that kind of rural area.
Yeah, it's a hot area.
This is not farmland.
Right, okay.
It's got like snakes and gophers.
Yeah.
But but it's not in the city.
Right.
Right, so you're able to enjoy these things, and so working for Nevada State Police, you can see it in his face. He's like, "This is where I want to be," and so I love where I am. I enjoy what I do. Right, might make your family a little bit crazy every once in a while, but the thing is that you're safe, and this is what you like train for, and this is what you do, and so it's not for everybody, right? Because there might be a lot of people who go, listen, I want to work for Nevada State Police, but I want to know that somebody's 5 minutes behind me because I want to make sure of that. But one of the best parts about the Nevada State Police is, listen, you don't work in a specific county, right? So if him and his family decided that he wanted to move to a different part of the state, but they love the rural living, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
These options are there.
Yeah.
But when I tell people when it comes to the store, like I don't sell anything inside the store, that you want to go to somebody that's their love and that's their passion, because you're just going to do better. And so you want to, if you know that someone's there and that's their love and their passion, that they can work. You know what I mean? And like when they're working, they're working. And when they're off duty, they're always working, but they're sort of off duty. But that there's time that they can just go and just go in, sit by a lake, and it's, not very far away.
Right.
And so this is one of the things that the Nevada State Police does, right?
Yeah, and I think Nevada is unique in itself just because, especially down in Vegas, you kind of have a little bit of everything if you really wanted to. You're an hour and a half drive from the lake or the river. You can go down to the beach for a 4-hour drive. You can go up to the mountains, go up north. So just in general, Nevada itself is kind of unique. But yeah, the department will essentially put you where you want to be. If you don't want to live in the city, you want to live in the rurals, you go live in the rurals. If you want to live in the city, we'll absolutely keep you in the city limits and kind of put you where your talents fit best. I think the department's really good about that. It is recognizing what you're good at, and they'll put you into that position that kind of makes you happy and makes you want to go to work and wants you to do better for yourself and the department as well, obviously. We got a lot of guys like Trooper Schlater that is very passionate about DUIs, so now he's our lead instructor for DUIs. Trooper Thayer is very passionate about speed, so now he's our instructor for our radar classes. So they recognize your talents and they recognize your work, and they'll put you in a position that benefits you and them as well. But it also benefits a trooper because then they're doing something, like you said, something that they love, and now it's not going to work. It's just doing something that they love on a daily basis. So, yeah, they look out for every single one of our troops.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Yeah, and to expand on that a little bit, I think that's actually gotten better over the years with this agency. Our command staff is just awesome. I think what they're good at is they know everybody, right?
Yeah.
This is not a big agency, so they know everybody, and they kind of hone in on different people for what their good qualities are, and they encourage them. So, that's kind of how I ended up where I'm at, is the encouragement that I got from the command staff. So that's just something that's just been really good with this agency over the recent years. So that's something people should really know, is that this agency's made big strides in really focusing on its people, and when you hear them talk about family and being family oriented, that's really what it's all about. So it's pretty cool to be a part of that. It makes you feel more connected to your career.
100%.
Well said.
He must have saw the segue into the next picture.
Uh-oh. What's the next picture?
This is the only thing that I
got
saw
here
so
early.
far. The new deputy director.
Yeah, Kristen Deffer.
So, when we talk about the command staff, right? We love them all, from the colonel who just retired. We love the major and all the way down, and the captain. He always comes on the show, and so lieutenants. I drove over Lieutenant White's bridge. On the 215 when you're going out towards Jones, all the way out that way, right? Mm-hmm. My friend Eric, I go to his grave on every Sunday, and so that bridge, I call it the Lieutenant White Bridge, because whoever decided that they were going to finish the bridge, they didn't finish it. And so you're driving in my car, right, which the profile tires, and you're driving, and they have this obnoxious bump before you got onto the bridge, right? And it was like, bang. And you'd have to slow down to 40 miles an hour and then continue. Right. And everyone else behind you is like, right? So anyway, we had Lieutenant White on, probably a year ago or whatever it was. He comes on and we're talking, and he goes, "I just want to tell you they fixed your bridge." Right? And so, the Nevada State Police drives everywhere. And so, you driving down here today might not be the normal route that you drive. But the thing is that if you saw someone doing an infraction, just because you're supposed to be here and you end up over here, that doesn't mean, I need to make a phone call to find out that, this person just blew past me in my marked patrol car at 100 miles an hour because now I'm in the city limits and they think it's the freeway.
Yeah. Our guys travel a lot for a lot of different reasons, training and different things. And because we do have rural areas, we do have troops that are driving in all different days, different times for different reasons. We're not necessarily going to stop somebody because they have an expired license plate. However, when we're driving and we see something that's a public safety issue, it's going to get dealt with. So I guess you would call that like random enforcement. It just so happened to be somebody that was traveling and saw something that was unsafe, and they're going to deal with it. Even if we're late for that training class, we're not going to let something go that's potentially dangerous.
Yeah.
You have the license plate reader?
I do, yeah. So,
See him smile? Look at that smile. Tell us.
well, I think that it's kind of like in its infancy stages. I think it has more capability and potential, and that's something that's being rolled out into some of the newer cars. Not everybody has it. It's an extension of our body cameras. It's a program on the computer, so everything is linked together, and it does read plates. It's not perfect. Obviously, there's so many different plates. Even our state alone has got a lot of different plates that look differently. So sometimes it'll confuse the state. But I've actually driven by a car that was on the side of the road and it was stolen. And so I don't know if they ran out of gas after they stole it or what happened. But I was able to go back and recover that vehicle and get that vehicle returned to the rightful owner. So it's just another tool. And this kind of goes back to another good point: is the state is just awesome about our equipment. Everything that we have is top notch. It's constantly being replaced and updated, and so we don't. I would even put our agency up against almost any other agency when it comes to the quality of equipment and the maintenance of the equipment. So this is a perfect example. I know a lot of the Metro guys, they don't have anywhere near the equipment that we have in their vehicles. They have what they need to get by, but some of these are, we call them toys, things that we get to use every day that are fun to use. They assist us in our job, but great equipment, and that's a good thing for us.
And we just got all those new rifles and everything, and
Yeah.
just to show you, this first time
you
on
can tell
the
he
show.
watched the show. You know what I'm saying?
I don't know if he ever really saw that, but you know what? It just shows you this is the first time on the show,
And
and
knows
he's
that.
telling you
Yeah.
about all the good things that our department does,
Yeah.
whether it's uniforms or command staff or other. But it's true. I mean,
Right.
we're like family. And it doesn't matter if you work up north or south. We have a great working relationship with all of our troopers, and we're very close knit. So that just makes our agency even much better than a lot of other agencies out there. So.
And you're very soft spoken like him. You know what I'm saying? But let's be clear that if you need to, you can explain to someone in a manner that that they need to understand, because this is what we talk about all the time on the Trooper Talk, right?
Yeah, so that's kind of, you never know who you're pulling over.
Yeah.
I've pulled, I'm not going to name any names, but I've stopped people that are fairly prominent people, didn't know it, wrote them a ticket, and then found out that that individual had written a letter to the chief saying how professional he was, and that I pulled him over and gave him a ticket. So, when you're enforcing traffic, you don't know who you're stopping, but you're stopping somebody's mom, somebody's grandma. Everybody's got to be treated with respect. I know my mother-in-law's had tickets and she was so upset, and she felt like the cop was rude. I don't think that's a good representation of any agency. But I will tell you this: when I stop somebody who is doing this many things wrong all at the same time, and then they are aggressive or passive aggressive, then the uniform is the first step in the use of force, right? Like our presence. The next thing is going to be verbal. So I've been accused of being pretty matter of fact. We're all trained to deal with different things and to escalate when needed and to de-escalate when needed. And when you work in a rural area, that is a tool. It's not in our belts. It's in our personalities and our mentality when we're out there. So you always, I think that when you make initial contact with somebody, that's where you just met them, and there's no need to come off rude or be disrespectful in any way. We are just doing a job, but there are those times when you got to step it up, and usually it's verbal, and usually that's as far as it needs to go. And a lot of times when I have those issues happen, our second conversation, me and the violator, is usually much better. In fact, I just had it happen where the individual actually apologized, and and that's good. Sometimes when you stop somebody, they're having a bad day, and you can't let that affect you. So usually you work through it, you de-escalate, and then everything's good. But it's just kind of part of the job, just the nature of the business.
And when we want people to work for Nevada State Police, right? You're able to take someone from zero up to being a parole and probation or a trooper. But the thing is that You don't need someone who just says, oh, I have a gun and I'm going to be able to go do what I want, or I'm going to drive around and just give people tickets, or, you know what I mean? Like, you're looking for Nevada's finest, and maybe they want to come in from another state or another partnering agency, maybe because of the equipment. You know what I mean? Maybe
Right.
because of many variety of reasons. But the thing is that Nevada State Police wants to talk to you. And so, just like the Nevada Donor Network, I'm gonna sort of steal this. Like, we want to start a conversation, right? Let somebody call you on the phone and say, "This is what my thoughts are. I'm 60 years old. I want to work for Nevada State Police. Can I do it?" You know, all these things, and then they talk to you, right?
Yeah, I have so many people call me that don't think that they're qualified because they don't have any experience or they don't know anything about law enforcement, but that's not what we're looking for. I didn't have any law enforcement experience at all before I started, but the academy gets you started to where you need to be a safe and effective police officer. And then even after that, you're constantly training, you're constantly going to different scenario-based trainings. Just day-to-day scenarios, doing your job day-to-day, it kind of teaches you and you kind of learn from it on a daily basis. So we're not looking for anybody that has already had experience. However, if you do have experience and you want to transfer over or lateral over, we will absolutely take you. But yeah, we'll teach you from bottom level all the way up to where you initially want to be, because we'll put in the work and we'll teach you how to do the job efficiently. But it's on you to get yourself more training and to put yourself into more positions to better your career and advance your career. So if you're looking to apply, NevadaStatePolice.com.
Yeah, and it's really important because there's plenty of room for advancement. But you have to put in the work, right? And so that's one of the things that's wonderful about the Nevada State Police. You know, you can come in as a critical fill, you can come in as a lateral move, you can come in of all these things, but you know, it's the most wonderful agency, but you have to work. And when you put on that uniform, it's not like, oh, I'm just going to go and just, you know, drive around today because I have nothing better to do. You know what I mean? And people have to know that, and they have to know that, you know, you follow the law. And so we're very, very nice, but don't push. You know what I mean? Like, we're the most respectful. We appreciate you. We appreciate, you know what I mean? And sometimes in interaction that might be sort of in a negative context, right? You're trained to de-escalate to make it a better situation.
Yeah, and you know, this is why when you wear that uniform, you're not just representing yourself, you're representing the great state of Nevada. So, of course, we're going to have, we always have the best training available to us. And we have yearly training to make sure that you are keeping updated with what is required for a Nevada Post, which is to keep your law enforcement certificate. And also, we have different things like dealing with canines or dogs if you come in contact with them, or the public. You know, we're talking about, you know, de-escalation or dealing with people that are very upset. This is all done prior to being a state trooper or parole and probation officer. They teach you all these good fractions of what to do when you're an officer out in the field. One of the great things is that Nevada has here is we've talked about the equipment, the cars, everything. The Nevada State Police provides everything you need to do that job properly. If you want to advance, this is one of those career fields that no matter if you're in parole probation or with highway patrol, there's always room for advancement. If you want to move up and be in a more of an administrative role, like a sergeant, a lieutenant, or a captain, move up, you can do that. But also, let's say you get a little stagnant and you want to try something different. You've been doing highway patrol for 7 years, and you're thinking, hey, it's time to change. But you don't have to leave the agency. You're going to keep your time and everything else. You can apply for parole and probation and go do that for 3 or 5 years. Or if there's an investigative spot for division investigation or Capitol Police, let's say you just want to drive and check buildings and do the law enforcement end on their part to do something totally different. You have all these options. And a lot of agencies across the country don't have that ability to have those different options in your career to just change and do all this other stuff. You know, you go to a big metropolitan police department, yeah, you might have auto theft, you might have burglary, you know, robbery units, all that stuff, but that's all they have. It's not a completely different division and field of investigations or different side of doing law enforcement. So we have those different divisions that people can actually go to and kind of restart, reboost their career maybe.
Of course, because
Yeah.
you know you want to do it for a moment and then you want to change.
Absolutely. And you know what? And even if you do it, I'll give you an example too. Let's say you did highway patrol for 7 years, you go to parole and probation for 5 years. If you want to go back to highway patrol, if there's an opening during that time, you can go right back to it. You know what I mean? A lot of guys, when they leave that, they do it for promotions. So they'll take a sergeant's position with parole and probation, and then maybe later on they'll come back as a lieutenant with the highway patrol. So this kind of helps them with their movement in their career. And plus, you're getting to know all the different divisions. So when you're a leader, you kind of understand when you get in these meetings, you understand what parole and probation does, what highway patrol does, or Capitol Police. You're already in the know-how of how that operation works, which makes you a better leader and a better officer for everybody.
Yeah, I can't agree with you more. You know what I'm saying? All right, let's see this one. All right, you ready for this one? This is called Sean's Safety Tips. And so this is now about probably a couple months because he kept talking and people weren't listening. So now he does these great graphics and people need to understand what he says. So
Yeah, well, this is something not new that we've had on a couple times, but I want to hit this because this is a major contributing factor to a lot of our crashes here in the valley. You know, we always talk about the two major contributing factors to our fatal crashes here in Nevada are speed and impairment, and speed alone is one of our biggest ones that we have a lot of crashes. But in this congested valley that we have in the mornings and afternoons, following too closely can be a major problem. And added on with following too closely, there a lot of people get distracted too. We've always talked about, hey, they're eating food or they drop a French fry, just leave it. Or you know, a lot of car manufacturers have made it like if you want to change your radio, now it's on the steering wheel of the car to make it easier for you, so you're not getting distracted by other things in your car. Other things, people in the car are talking, being distracted. When you're following too close, you have no time to react. I've talked about this numerous times on your show before. It's like the inchworm effect. That's what I call it, where we have a stop and go traffic all the time, especially on the 15. And if somebody's not paying attention, it just takes that quick second and you got a rear ender. And it's property damage most likely, you know what I mean? But now you're in a crash, you're tied up. Now you got looking at insurance, waiting for doing a police report. It's a terrible way to start your morning and not something that we want to do. So I always tell people, give yourself a distance. You know, a lot of times they'll say 3 or 4 seconds. Some other places I've researched, they have the 2-second rule. But I say 3 to 4 seconds. If you give yourself 3 or 4 car lengths in distance, and just be mindful around your surroundings when you're driving, you pretty much could get anywhere safely as you can. I mean, for unforeseen things up in the future, you know what I mean? You never know what you're going to run into. But playing it safe is it's very easy just to make that, what do you want to say, car distance. And if you see brake lights ahead of you, I always tell people if you're in a major traffic jam or it's starting to slow up, always look 5 or 10 vehicle lengths ahead if you can tell. And if you start seeing those brake lights come on, start braking ahead of time, because you know that's either going to come to a complete stop or they're slowing down for something up ahead. So I just want everybody to be mindful to others and start using a little bit of distance, because when we're out there every day, I'm sure these two can tell you, when we're out there on, doesn't matter if the 215, 15 or wherever we're at, where we have a lot of traffic, everybody's falling too close.
They're 10 feet.
They're speeding. They're right on people's bumpers. We call it tailgating. We have tailgaters everywhere throughout the whole valley, and then they wonder why we have 46,000 crashes every year in the Las Vegas Valley. Our Nevada Highway Patrol alone does 17,000 crashes every year, but our other agencies, the other partnering agencies like Metro, Henderson, North Las Vegas, and all that, pick it all up, but every year we average about 46,000 vehicle crashes. That's why every other billboard is a personal injury attorney or something.
Right, no,
I mean, we really have to curb this, and we need people to start paying attention and give a little bit of distance between cars. I know people say, hey, oh, if I let this car in, if I give it more distance, people are just going to pop in. It's not going to take much time off if you just back off and let that person in, and if somebody decides to get in, it's not even minutes. You know what I mean? That you could be saving yourself or somebody else from getting in a crash down the road.
I find that people, when I drive the truck, people don't want to tailgate me. You know what I mean? Because they sort of, they keep a little bit more of a distance. But when I drive the car, they want to be 2 inches from my bumper because they want to just pull here so they can pull on the side of me and try to race me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so, right? And so, anyway. That's a whole other topic of conversation. These little things. Anyway, so what I'm saying is this: that when it comes to this, now being in a rural area, you know, people have to realize that there can be a lot more things on the roadway than when you're traveling down the 15. Maybe you see a sofa or a thing like this that just fell off, which we have to be mindful. But you know, maybe in a more rural area, there can be a lot more things that, you know, is more prevalent on a roadway. And so people have to pay attention. And they have to pay attention to the cars that are in front of them, because these cars, all it takes is one little mistake and it turns into a tragedy. Now, let me ask you a question about your area. Do you deal with a lot of like people that are impaired?
It's everywhere. Yeah,
Right.
we do. The interesting thing about the area that I'm in is it's seasonal. So during the summer, we get a different type of traveler that comes through because of the rivers.
because they're coming back and forth. Okay.
From
okay.
everywhere. They come in from California. It's extremely popular. You can get down into Lake Havasu from there. So we just see the traffic volumes change, the speeds change. In the winter, it's a big snowbird community, so we get a lot of snowbirds, and then the party traffic goes away. So it's usually younger people for the river, and they're a little more in the party aspect. So, and then you got to understand that a lot of times people are traveling, they're getting someplace. So once they get there, they want to do their drinking and stuff, and then generally they get up the next day. So it's not out of control, but we definitely still deal with impaired drivers.
And that's positive. You know what I'm saying? Because you know we come on the show all the time, and we always sit there and we talk about, you know, the impairment and the speeding and all this type of stuff. And you know, it's nice to hear. I mean, like you said, it's everywhere, and it's just what it is. Does that make sense? But you know, for people that want to be a state trooper, for people that want to live in a more rural area, you know what I'm saying?
Yep.
You know, these type of things make it very nice. I noticed that. So you have the push bumpers on the front of your vehicle.
Yeah.
So when I went I took my car the other morning, and there was a state trooper, and I was coming like this on the road, and he turned around, right? It wasn't for me, don't. But he turned around and he went over to the left lane because something piqued his interest. Like there was another car that was on the left-hand side. Maybe it had the reader or who knows what, right? And all I remember is when he turned around, because I'm used to seeing like not the cars with like the full push bumpers and the lights and the thing. This thing looked like it was battle ready, right? But what people have to know is that you train. So if you have to drive at an excessive speed, or you have to maneuver, or you have to do these type of things, that you are well trained in order to do that. So on specific roadways where it's more of a rural area, where maybe you see this type of activity, or maybe you don't see a car for 15 miles, right?
Yep.
You are trained to look and to see these things, and it's a testament to maybe why that area is a safer area.
Yeah, well, you know, I can't really put my finger on why it seems like it's, and I think that I view it that way because I worked in the Valley for a few years before I went down there. It's just there's certain areas and certain roads where you just know you're going to have crashes every day. You know, that's the way it is up here. Like you can just count on X amount of crashes, 15 in Sahara. You know, it's and we have our spots down there too where we have consistent crashes, and then the rest of them just kind of happen randomly. But there are a couple of areas where we have consistent crashes, and sometimes it's because just the way the road is, the way most people see the road. And I know we've had places where we have regular crashes there every day, but the road seems like it's wide open, it's straight. You can't really understand why they happen there, and this is why they do traffic studies. But we have the same thing going on down there. I think that we're part of the tourism corridor, so we're not considered a rural area. We're under the same lieutenant commander as the Parim district is. And that's because we have so many people traveling through to get to Vegas. When the 15 freeway gets congested through Prim after a busy weekend, people have GPS now, so they get rerouted through our district. So most people are really just traveling, and obviously they're in a hurry to get where they want to go. Nobody wants to just sit in the car. They want to get where they want to go.
Yeah.
So, you know, the speed is really the biggest factor, but we have good roads, and that's the luck of the federal government putting those beautiful roads in, nice wide roads. You know, there's medians that we can drive through all of our medians, so a lot of the speed enforcement that we do is actually opposing traffic.
Do you sit in the median?
Sometimes.
Or do you generally sit on the side of the road?
Sometimes, yeah. I think that me and my guys, we find ourselves doing some stationary radar stuff in areas where that works really well, but a lot of times, even if you're moving, when our radars get traffic the other direction, so it's easy to see them coming at you, and you know, first thing you want to do when you're working speed is get a visual. You can always visually tell that a car is going too fast, and when you do this long enough, you have a pretty good idea how fast they're going. So you just confirm that with your radar. But it's an easy area to work because of that. When I travel out to California, I see their center medians. There's no way you could drive a car, even a 4x4, you couldn't get it through there. Out in my area, we can get through all of our medians. So that makes it really nice for enforcement.
That's a plus.
Yes.
Trooper Thayer, when he was here, he sort of alluded to the fact, he's like, yeah, I sit near this certain bridge, you know what I mean? And I can just tell you that every single time I sit there, there's somebody that blows past me. Like, I wait 5 minutes and there's something, you know what I mean? And so these are the things that you see. Tell me about being a sergeant. So is that cool? Is it, because here's where I'm going to go with you. When you found out that you were going to be a sergeant, right? Were you like jumping up and down? Were you like, did you run around the house and you were like, I made it? Did you like, what was your reaction that you did?
That's in my mind, that's kind of a tough question to answer. I didn't run around and jump up and down.
Okay.
Naturally, I was extremely excited when I got that phone call. I never really wanted to promote. I was always really just kind of comfortable doing what I did. You know, it's odd even when you have the passion and you want to do this, you do it for a few years. And I think once you generally hit about 5 or 6 years is when you realize you're super comfortable with it. Like, in other words, you don't overthink it anymore. You don't, you know, it starts to come natural. And you get to that point, and then you just feel really comfortable when you go to work. I know a lot of people that wanted to promote, and it's like I've watched guys move across the state just to get a spot as a sergeant or something like that. I was very interested in doing it, and this is where, when I was talking about command staff being supported, obviously command staff saw something with me that they liked, and they encouraged me. And it's not that I didn't want to do it, I didn't have my heart set on it. And the more I thought about it, I was like, you know what, maybe this is right for me. And I went and I tested, and I got through that, you know, and I kept getting through the next phase. You know, they don't just pick you. You know, when I was younger, I always thought, well, they just liked him, so they made him a sergeant. Yeah, there's a lot of hoops to jump through, you know, and it's so, yeah, you know, and you got to go through, you know, human resources, and it's not like they got it set up where, like, command staff can't just pick who they like. You know, you got to go through a testing process through HR, and they got to put you on a list before command staff can even pick you. So, you know, there's a lot to go through, and I made it through every step, and I started getting more excited about it because being in the rural area, for me, I'm very connected to my community. And I started to realize that, you know, I could do things differently than I had watched them get done and be a little more connected to the community, which means a lot to people in a small community. When you go to these community events and these community meetings, the people that show up really appreciate it. And I think that's really important. We represent, the reason I have the authority that I have is because of my community. They're the ones that want me to go out and make the road safer. So that's where our power and authority comes from. It comes from the community. So I really enjoy being connected to my community and being part of the events and things like that. So when I started thinking more and more about being the sergeant, I thought this is just an amazing opportunity. I can be more connected to the community, more involved in things, and it's a feeling of accomplishment that feels good. Sometimes you do have to stop and kind of reflect back, because you know, you get really focused on your job and you don't think about the details of things, and once in a while I'll do that and I'll realize, like, wow, I'm very lucky to be in a position where I can say, yeah, I'm gonna do that, I'm gonna be there, I'm gonna be a part of this. And you know, it's good, it's great for the community for us to be involved that way, and I'm happy to be able to do it.
And so that's what do you think about these things when you're in your when you're driving and you're by yourself in your patrol car and you're, you know, going down the road at 70 miles an hour and you're just, you know, you're focused on what you're doing. You do a lot of these type of things.
Yeah, I mean, I think you think about it a lot. You know, I mean, like anything, there's days where things are so busy you don't really have time to think about anything, and then you have days that are a little slower, and you know, those are the times that you kind of reflect on. Here I am doing this, and life moves pretty fast sometimes, and you know, sometimes you just got to stop and go, wow, I can't believe I've made it to where I did that when I was on the motor squad. I remember thinking one day, I never thought I would. When I got hired here, I didn't even know we had a motor squad. Just didn't even know it. And I ended up being on the motor squad, and you know, I got to do things like escort the President of the United States, and you know, that's a pretty cool thing. Not too many people, a very small percentage of people say they could take part in something like that. And when you have a career like this, you know, and you get to do these things that maybe you never thought you would have the opportunity to do, it's been quite gratifying for sure for me. And I still feel that way now with where I'm at and the opportunities that I were given. And you know, I've worked really hard to get where I'm at, and so like these gentlemen here say, if you're passionate and you're willing to work hard, it's quite impressive the things you can do, and then you have the opportunity as you get older to look back and go, wow, it's cool that I did that, and that's really a good place to be.
So one thing I want to talk about is we unfortunately had some troopers pass away, you know, due to unforeseen circumstances that were horrible, and you know, and Trooper Micah May, and you know, what is it like for you when because you're much more in your area, right? And you have a lot more time sometimes maybe for self-reflection and things like that. What does that make you feel like?
You know, I think that this agency kind of went a little bit of a few years without anything crazy happening, and we got hit pretty hard over the last 5 years or so with, you know, 4 of our guys. You know, we had Ben Jenkins, and then we had Micah May, and then we had Felix and Abate, and you know, when you know people that did the exact same thing you've done many times. I mean, I worked graveyard in Vegas too. You know, I remember how many times, you know, I had to be in a situation that wasn't safe. You know, and we all do it, and it makes you realize when it happens. You know, it really brings you down to earth and makes you realize that this, you know, because people tell you, hey, thanks for what you do, it's so dangerous, and you're like, yeah, I know, you know, this is my pleasure. You know, I mean, this is how I pay my bills, kind of thing. But then it actually happens to somebody you know very well, and it really just brings you to a place of reality where you realize, man, this is a dangerous job, you know. And I think that now when I hear things happening on the radio, you know, you feel like now it's happening to your brother even more than ever. You know, you felt that way then, but because it did happen to our brother, when you hear things go down on the radio and you're like, okay, I hope this works itself out. You know, I don't want to see anything bad happen, but I worry about my guys every day. especially in the rural area. My guys are out there a lot of times by themselves. They do have Metro and other units that are there for backup, but they're not right there like they are here. And so I worry about my guys. I try to make sure that we talk about a lot of different tactics and things that we can do to create a safer situation. And but it's tough. It's one of those things that happens where you don't really ever stop thinking about it. You might think about it a little less often, but I knew Mike pretty well, and it was, in fact, I had a conversation with him because he had just promoted a sergeant, and it's we worked on graveyard shift together, and it's hard to think about it, and it's the tragedy of life that we all have to deal with, whether it's friends or family, and it's a unique aspect to lose somebody that you worked with that doing the same job that you do. Not a lot of people have a career where they have to experience that, but it's definitely eye-opening.
This is why we need Nevada's finest, right? Because you have to have such a strong mind, because before you even get to the academy's tough. You know what I mean? It's not it's not 1, 2, 3 and you're done, right? And then when you get to the academy, it's not easy to it's not a walk in the park to just get through, and then you have to start your career. And when you start your career, you're going to deal with things that are going to be hard on friends, on family members, on yourself, right? And this is why the recruiting is so important. And so talk to us about that.
I tend to tell people that you have to have a stronger mentality than the normal person would tend to have, because you're absolutely correct. From the time of application to starting your career, it's tough. You're going to deal with things that a normal person will not deal with ever in their lifetime, and it's almost on a constant basis too. There's times where you're going to have 2 or 3 fatals a week, and there's a potential part of that where you're responding to each of those, and you're going to be first on scene. So you're going to be seeing a lot of stuff that a lot of people don't get to see in their lifetime. And even on the parole and probation side, you're going to go into a lot of the houses that what you think is not normal to live in these situations, the person that's living in this household thinks it's normal, where there's dog feces all over the floor or baby diapers. They think that this is a completely normal environment to live in, but you're walking around like, what is happening here? Like, this is not normal. So I think having a strong mentality starting at the academy will help you get there, but I mean, obviously your mental aspect is completely up to you. So having a strong mental part of your career will help you have a long and healthy career, because if you're not strong mentally, there's a good chance that you're not going to last very long dealing with the stuff that we deal with on a day-to-day basis. So absolutely come to the academy mentally prepared. Continue talking to the friends that you do have, because your friends are going to kind of dwindle off just depending on the kind of friend group that you have. There's a lot of people that lose friends after they join the department because they don't 100% agree with the profession that they've chosen. But on the other aspect of that, we talked about it on the last show, you're going to gain a lot more friendships, and those friendships are going to be a lot closer because you are dealing with the same kind of man, or the same different situations that you're dealing with. So just a strong mental health is one of the biggest things that I think even the department is pushing out right now to make sure that all of our troops are taken care of.
You have a lot of stripes. He has some stripes. He has some stripes on the thing. You know what I mean? This is what people look up to, though. People are watching the TV and they're going, that's what I want to be. Last time your friend came on and he said, what did he say? 4 out of your 5 friends growing up were all police officers.
I said that. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, so nothing against the other one who didn't, but I'm just saying that, like, you surrounded yourself, as funny as it may be, from a childhood, and those people followed the same vision, and so, when you want to become a trooper, it's something that's very special. And so to be there for Nevada and to be a state trooper or parole and probation, or you know, I mean, like these type of things are really important, and everybody who works for the state has tremendous retirement, you know, all these wonderful things that most places don't have.
Oh, absolutely. And you know, when you look at this badge and it has trooper on it, this is something that's not given. This is something that's earned. And there's something that we can't really describe, the type of pride that you have once you become a state trooper, because our academy is kind of like a paramilitary academy, you know, with the running, the sit-ups, the push-ups. You know, when an officer or a trooper, another trooper walks through the hallway, they stand at attention. You know what I mean? But it's all done for a purpose. We always talked about, you know, you having a little bit of strings on your uniform or something. Just down to special detail, we're building you up, because just having that unnoticed and untaken care of, that means maybe you're not cleaning your gun afterwards, you know, after training, or it's not accessible where you don't have the proper equipment with you when you actually need it. So these little things that we teach you at the academy is going to benefit you in the future. And people realize that once they become state troopers or parole and probation or gone through this academy, there's a reason for everything that we do to train you, to make you safe and make our community safer. So what a great career. I always tell people, go to NevadaStatePolice.com if you're interested. We do ride-alongs if it's something that you've been thinking about and you want to do a ride-along, see what it's like. Also in the civilian field, you know, dispatching, administrative jobs. You know, I always joke with you and say, hey, they always wanted to be in the cop field, but they don't want to carry a gun, but they want to be part of the group. We have a bunch of administrative jobs that you can actually do that. We, you know, a while back, I think we just hired, but we have mechanic jobs. I mean, we service all of our own cars. You know, there's such an array of different jobs throughout these divisions that are also civilian oriented. And even with these large departments that we have in the surrounding agencies here in the Valley, they also have a big support group from civilians too. So we're always looking for civilians, and we definitely are looking for troopers and people that maybe want to work on parole and probation. And those people getting out of college, you know, criminal justice, UNLV, I always tell them, hey, start looking. You know what I mean? This is something, you know, you might not be of age, 19, let's say you're 19 or 20, you can get hired by us at 19 or 20. We'll put you in a job where you'll start learning the 10 code that you just quizzed us on just a minute ago, and you'll know how to do the reports, how to file all this stuff. It'll be all ready, and when you go to the academy, you'll be ahead of everybody. It's just that we'll hire you. You just won't be able to start at academy until about 20 and a half, because you have to be 21, you know, nationwide to carry a firearm, and that's the reason why we do it 21 and older. But even if you're 18, 19, you can take that dispatch job or an admin job, and we'll hire you now and get you ready for your future job that you've always wanted to do. And that's why I wanted to say, you know, people at UNLV taking criminal justice and they're looking at parole and probation or to be a state trooper, one of Nevada's finest. I always say, hey, start looking ahead, and it's a great career. The sooner you start, the earlier you can retire. You know what I mean? And,
I do.
And it's great. I mean, there's a lot of guys I know around 47, 50 years old, you're retired. You could work another 10 or 15 years. Well, look at me, I already started on that. But if the earlier you start, you get your full retirement, then you can start another job or just retire and enjoy your life. You know what I mean? So that's why I always want to encourage people. And if you're looking at it, we're looking at laterals. We're looking at military people too out there, that if you're 6 months out and you're looking at, hey, I don't want to do the military anymore, but this is something that's exciting. Maybe I'm in security forces with the Air Force or Army, military police, and I still want to do this career. We got that Skill Bridge program. Call Louis Villanueva. He'll get you hooked up. He'll go over everything. You can start working for us. And the minute your active duty ends, your duty starts with us and getting ready for the academy, and you'll be paid the whole time. And we'll get you ready for that. So go to NevadaStatePolice.com. We're always looking for Nevada's finest.
He could be a recruiter.
He's doing great.
Not bad. You know what I'm saying? All right, let's see what we got for this one.
Short one.
You know what this means?
We're almost to the end.
This is the end. We passed.
He made it.
We appreciate. How long is the drive from where you
It's
are to here?
about an hour and a half.
Oh, an hour and a half.
Yeah.
So do you listen to the radio in your car when you drive from here to there, or like no?
Nope.
It's totally silent.
Yeah, I think that for me, I don't know. I don't need to. I'm
In your personal vehicle, do you listen to the radio?
absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. When
But
I'm at work, I don't even want to listen to music when I'm working. I know some guys do. I have over the years. A little here, a little there. Maybe when I'm wrapping up a crash report or something like that. But I don't really. As much as I love music, and I always have music on.
What
in my
kind of
house,
music do you listen to?
Pretty much everything. I'm country music. I'm
Country
big,
music,
I'm big
okay.
on country
Okay,
music, but
okay.
I like a lot of different kinds of music. So I'm pretty open-minded with music.
Right.
But as much as I love music, I really don't listen to it when I'm at work. I don't play it low in the background, or I have my work radio on.
Right. When
So-
you're working, you're working.
Yeah, when I'm working, I'm working.
Okay.
Yeah. So.
And then you have me where I'm responding to crashes and my music is blaring.
Do you listen to the radio?
I
in your
do,
car?
yeah, I do
Oh,
listen to
really?
that,
Yeah, and that's
Yeah.
great. I mean,
So what kind of music do you listen to?
All kinds. Country is number one for me. Rap, hip hop.
One of the cool things was that Sergeant Barachek in his he carries his phone right here, both phones, right, the work phone and the personal phone, and so he says, he goes, when I have people that are I'm in the pursuit, I turn on these two songs. and it like calms him down
Focuses,
to make him you know what I mean, because it's and so whatever you have to do. Do you listen to the radio? Or no?
Absolutely.
Yeah, when you're driving?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what do you listen to?
A little bit of everything.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah.
Rock, country, everything.
When I drive the car, I put it on the blastiest, loudest thing. You know what I'm saying? I'm just rolling. You know what I mean?
The only thing is, when you got the radio on, I mean, it's a little bit lighter, but we're always listening to the traffic coming in.
Yeah.
Right,
But
right.
before you know it, I mean, something's going on. The trooper got to stop or something, and then
Yeah, you turn it
the
down.
work radio always keeps coming up, and before you know it, everything's
everything's
blaring.
loud.
Yeah, it's a lot louder because you want to make sure that they're safe and
Yeah.
everything's
Yeah, of
going all
course.
right. But yeah, it's nice to have a little bit of music, kind of do. You're doing your job, you're out there working, and it kind of relaxes you sometimes. I think. I
Yeah.
mean, it gives you a little time to think, but on the other hand, we're trained to multitask.
Yeah.
I don't care what anybody has to say. We're some of the greatest multitaskers
Yeah, for
ever.
sure.
We can listen to 3 or 4 different radios probably, and pick out what we want to hear. You know what I mean? Kind of selective hearing. You know what I mean? When things are happening.
Well,
Other than that, and then you got everything else. You got to
Well,
worry
like-
about the driving and everything else.
yeah, as I say, like me, I have my earpiece in, which is usually one station, and then I have my other station that's scanning, and then I have the radio going, and then I have the computer going. So yeah, Sean's absolutely right.
You're
We're
multitasking.
Multitasking at its finest for sure.
Yeah.
All while
Look
trying
at
to
all
find
these
violators.
things that are happening,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And you're just like, I just drive my car. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
I make it easy, right?
I guess what's funny is you've asked that question and I answered it, and I thought maybe I'm a little weird. I don't know.
I would
No,
I-
not
here's
at
the
all.
thing. I would if I was in your position,
I mean, as a supervisor, so that's great.
I wouldn't put on the radio because like when I work, right, I don't like any radio on or anything like that because my mind, just the way my mind is, it's very easily distractible. And so I can't do 3 or 4 things at once. I try, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah.
But and so I would in a decompressing area, like you said, you maybe like you're sitting there or something, then but like I don't know if I would be able to like.
I don't know. Like when I'm at home or if I'm just hanging out by the pool, I got the
Yeah.
music on, and
Yeah,
that's
no,
like
100%.
that's like what tells my brain, like, hey, you don't have to do anything.
Yeah.
So when I'm at work, like I don't really want to try to bring that off time
That's
true.
feeling
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
So I go to work and I do my work thing. That's really all it is.
Maybe that's why I can't sleep.
and you know what's cool is that all the canine guys that come, that's exactly what they say about their canines. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like
right.
that it's like, and so again, being in a sort of a law enforcement mentality, right? Like you have to do the things that make you feel like the best prepared for what it is that that you do, and I think that's what makes it very special.
Yeah, I think that for me, I've learned over the years, I like to try to separate work from my personal life.
Yeah.
And you know, like I keep when I started, my uniforms were in my closet next to my, you know,
Personal
swim
stuff.
trunks.
Okay.
Now I keep them in the closet in my office. You know, and I keep all my work stuff stays in my office, and it's not in my normal space.
Yeah.
Even my car, I got a pretty big driveway, and I kind of park it off to the side, so I don't really. It's just it blocks
Yeah,
it out a little
okay.
bit.
Separates it.
Yeah, you have to decompress.
Yeah.
You know, and it doesn't matter what you do for a living. It's always good to try to really decompress and remove it from your mind. Now, my phone rings when I'm off. It's one of my guys with a
doesn't
question.
matter.
So you never really can get away with it, and that's what I signed up for, and I'm good with that. But sometimes I think that it's a good idea to just remove that, you know, you separate your and maybe that's why I don't listen to music when I'm working, is because,
Yeah, no, that's
you
cool.
know what I mean? That's like that's my personal
Got your
off
own
time
Right,
stuff.
no.
You know?
And again, I think that, you know, in doing that, it's very cool. Do you wear the smoky hat?
Typically, no. I mean, the things and here's what's beautiful about the hat is
Tell
the hat
me.
is iconic.
Yes.
Especially for us.
Yes.
It'll never go away. That hat will always exist as long as this agency exists. I absolutely have that hat. It's in a very special spot. I used to carry it in my car, but I found that it gets dirty and it starts, you know, getting a little weird. And so I kept it in there all the time, and they constantly get moved around. And so now I keep it in my office, so it's accessible when I do need it. But I used to wear it a little more often. It is not the most comfortable hat in the world. So you find it. So it's like I
Hagstrom
used.
loves it.
Well,
what
you
I'm
know,
saying?
like I used to polish my boots a lot more, but
Yeah.
out here in the rural areas, you know, a lot of times we're just off in the dirt, and it's really hard to keep a car clean. It's really hard to keep
Yeah,
boots clean.
totally.
You know, and we have issued baseball caps that we wear. So
Oh, so that's cool.
If
to
we-
keep the sun off.
yeah, and I don't even wear that unless we get on say a crash or we're going to be outside for an extended period of time. But you know, I'm not throwing the hat on every time. It's just an extra step for me to take to go and do it. So I don't normally wear a hat when I am working. But again, when we get on maybe a crash that we're going to be out for a while, or a road closure, that kind of thing, you know, and it's hot and the sun's out, it's nice to be able to protect your head. So
I always wanted my hair to breathe. He doesn't have to worry. Did you know his hair? It's always,
Always
like
perfect.
this. It's always like
he
this.
wakes up and it looks
I
that
don't
way.
understand it. You know what
You
I'm
notice
saying?
like 403's out of place. You know what I mean? Like
I told you, it's a Lego piece. I just put it on and off every day.
It's
Yeah.
like amazing. You know what I'm saying? Thanks a lot for coming.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for spending time.
Absolutely.
And you know, the thing is that these two gentlemen come every week. Trooper Hagstrom, you know, tries every single week to bring someone from a different division or a different area or a different something, so that we can keep telling people about the wonderful state agency, and you know, like, if they want to come and spend time with you, that, you know, like, this is a great place to go, and, you know, like, there's all these different things. So thanks again for coming.
Hey,
okay?
thanks for having me. It was great being
Trooper
here.
Hagstrom, you know,
Always a pleasure, Neil.
It's
Yeah,
always
always a pleasure.
fantastic. You know what
Yeah,
I'm saying?
it's
a great
Well,
time.
hopefully we have a little bit more time to talk before the before the thing is, so you're, you know. But I'm sure you've gotten 1,000 messages.
Yeah.
Oh,
Like,
yeah,
before now,
we
yeah.
need to get over here. So we'll end right now. Okay.
All right.
All right. We're gonna look right here, and we're just gonna wave. Okay. See you later.
Bye, guys.